And today, as we begin to celebrate our Love Month, I want you to remember to always make love your answer. Always remember that love is the answer. And we have our love treatment. Hopefully everyone has a bulletin from by the door. It tells you what's going on for the next couple of Sundays, but a little bit later on, we are going to be working with our love treatment. And this is an affirmation that you can use. We're going to do it every week as we're in church, but you can use the love affirmation, the love treatment every day, 3 times a day, however you want to use it to bring love in every area of your life. See that love happening in great and wonderful ways. So we know now that love is the answer. Love is always the answer. And as we appreciate this, we can realize that, there are so many things in our life. So much of our life is full of questions, and that is from the personal to the existential, right? The personal meaning our goals, our fulfillment, the love that we have in our lives, the decisions that we're making for our lives, right? Should I take this job? Do I want to be a parent, right? All these things that we have as our personal questions that go and swirl around our minds. And then there are the existential questions, which might be a little more difficult to answer. Questions about the planet, questions about space, right? Questions about humankind and our place on the planet. When we look and see all the things that people are doing, good and bad, we can love the good things that people are doing, but we get confused. We have questions as to why people hate, why people do the things that they do. When I look at I was reading up more on the war in the Congo, and you see that there are just people going into this place in the Congo in Africa and taking their natural resources. They are so rich with so many things, and now the people are suffering. One of the richest places, natural places on the planet, and the people are suffering because of someone else's greed. So we look at these things and we go, why is this happening? Why do we allow these things to happen? And we have our own personal think tank in our mind, right? All of these thoughts are swirling around in our mind, causing confusion, causing doubt, causing fears, causing resentment even for our humankind, our fellow humans. But with all of these questions, friends, remember that love is always the answer. To every question that you have, love is the answer. And when you think about love and consider that love is the very action of the universe. We have to now raise our consciousness so that we can love the way the universe loves us. Just think of the very natural things that we all need. The very first thing that we need is oxygen. Without oxygen, we can't breathe, we can't do anything. We can't even live to even not like the things that we don't like, right? So oxygen is the very basic need. The universe gives us that. Whether we're good, whether we're bad, whether we have regrets, whether we have fears, whether we have guilt, whether we have doubts, the universe still provides us with oxygen. The universe still loves us enough to provide us with oxygen. The universe still loves us enough to provide us with substance through our food, through our water, because everything that we eat and drink is already on the planet. Can we love ourselves that much? That no matter the fears, no matter our mistakes, we can give ourselves what we need for our very survival. Friends, today remember that love is the answer to everything in your life. Friends, today remember that the love of God, people say, how do I get closer to the love of God? How do I really know that I'm loving God the way that I should? Whether you're a Christian, a Baptist, a Catholic, right? How do you connect with God? You connect with God by loving yourself. You connect with God by loving yourself, because that is the very first gift that God has given us. This body, this mind, this life that we are living. If we do not love it, then we truly do not love God, and we cannot connect to the bigger force, which is God. We cannot fully identify what God is and what God means until we love ourselves, And then once we love ourselves, we can love humankind, even the ones that do us wrong, even the ones that do wrong and have nothing to do with us. We can love them. We can fight for the wrong that they're doing, but we can love them as we fight against them, right? We can love the world mysteries, the planets, the stars, all these existential questions that we have about what's going on in the universe, We have to kind of trust the scientists, right? We have to kind of trust that there's satellites out there taking pictures. And sometimes you can't get a signal on your phone, but they got pictures from Jupiter, right? So all these things in your mind, love is always the answer. Friends, let love be the answer for everything in your life. So let's put that out in the universe for ourselves. Affirm with me, love is the answer, to everything in my life. How wonderful is that? Now, the thing is that we tend to prove our love to others more than we tend to prove our love to ourselves, right? We have these times where we doubt ourselves, where we treat ourselves unfairly, where we treat ourselves and forget that we have to live in love, we have to work with love. But we have our doubts, we have our hang-ups, we have our fears. We beat ourselves up. We beat ourselves up over past mistakes, over past regrets. We live in our own heads because this thing called thinking sometimes could drive us crazy, because no matter what we're doing, we could be doing something totally different and the thoughts still rise in our heads. The thoughts where we feel less than. And the thing is that if a friend of ours came with the doubts that we have, that we tell ourselves that we don't even tell our best friends, right? When we have a friend come and tell us these things, we as a loving friend would tell them, oh no, that's not true. You are wonderful. You are perfect. There is nothing to doubt. There is nothing to fear. And we do that for other people, but sometimes forget to do that for ourselves. That when these doubts come, can we train ourselves, train our mind to be a friend to ourselves, to be a friend to our love, to know that love is always the answer. Friends, love is the answer to the greatest self-love that you can ever imagine. When you think of how you can love yourself more, the possibilities are even 10 times, a million times more than you can ever dream. But can you begin the process? Can you begin the process of loving yourself unconditionally, the way that God loves us, the way that the universe loves us and provides everything for us? When we think about, when situations happen and we don't feel ultimately loved by the universe, ultimately loved by the situations that we're experiencing, people might always ask, why God? Why is this happening to me? How can you prove your love? Because that's what we're really asking, right? God, how are you proving your love to me during this difficulty, during this negation, during this breakup, during this loss? How are you proving that you love me, that you're protecting me, and that you're guiding me? Well, we have to start our prayer to overcome these situations by thinking, if I were God, if I were my personal God, how would I prove that love? How would I prove the protection? How would I prove the guidance? And that is where you start your quest for love. That is where you start your prayer for love in your world. And that requires you to have healthy thoughts. And not every thought is going to be healthy, because not everything always stays healthy, and that includes your thoughts, your words, your actions. But if we can make a conscious effort to look at our thoughts and always strive to have healthy thoughts, always strive to speak healthy words, always strive to do healthy actions, that brings healthy relationships in our world. It brings healthy friendships in our world. And we know this, the identifier is peace. Right? When there is peace in our situations, peace in our mind, peace in our relationships, we know that there is love, because love and peace go hand in hand. When we can have the power and start our prayer with love, when we can have the power to quench arguments, that when people come and they want to argue, because some people just love a war, they love to fight, some people in our lives, they do things that they know that we don't like just to get a reaction out of us, right? Because maybe they're bored or whatever's going on, right? Can we quench those arguments with love? Can we not be concerned with the blowback of what we said or what we done because we've already know that it's done in love? And if someone, I always think in my head, how you feel is none of my business. I got to say what I got to say, and I'm saying it with love. If you feel offended, if you feel this, you feel that, that's something that you're going to have to work through. I'm free. I've already said what I had to say, done what I had to done. Can we live with such a love? Not that you don't care about the other person's feelings, but some people have these feelings that even they don't understand. And we try to apologize and understand their feelings, and it winds up in a big mess. Can we put love into that? Can we put love into the hard feelings, into the difficult emotions that we are going through? Can we put love in the times where we feel that we are suffering in this world? The thing is that suffering is going to come in our world sometimes, but suffering is not a permanent state of being. Can we know that we are meant to go through suffering so that we can find the deeper self? So that we can find the deeper love, find the deeper healing, find the deeper connection. We have to understand that when trauma hits us in our world, when these traumatic experiences happen in our world, we feel pain after that. And a lot of people feel that pain and go through the situation again and again. Your heart breaks again and again. Your head hurts again and again. But we must come out of that reliving the trauma day by day, reliving the trauma year by year, and realize that the pain that we're feeling is actually our recovery period. Just like when someone gets shot or something like that, or someone breaks their leg or something like that, right? They have to go through pain as they heal. The incident has already happened. And we can relive that incident and feel the pain, but when we can understand that the pain is recovery, we can see and understand, what does my recovery look like? Does it look like crying? Does it look like screaming? Does it look like, withdrawing for a minute? Not too long, but withdrawing for a minute, going on a vacation. What does your recovery look like? And at the end of the day, at the end of the situation, what does your love look like? What does your soul look like? What does the God in you look like? As you go through these situations, friends, today, remember to give yourself mercy. Give yourself compassion, give yourself grace, give yourself patience, and go easy on yourself as you heal from the traumatic experiences of your life, because you cannot rush greatness. And that is what you're living to unfold, right? You're living to unfold your greatness, the greatness that is within you, and there is no need to force that greatness, because that greatness lives in you now. That greatness lives in you always. But the first instinct that we draw from is the ego. We draw from the human experiences. We draw from the patterns that we become accustomed to in life. We draw from the expected things that go on in our life, just because it's easier. It's easier to do the same things again and again because we're used to it, because we're accustomed to it, because there is a certain comfortability with the things that we experience. But friends, let the spiritual self in you always know that there is more love for you to experience. Let the spiritual self in you know that there is more greatness to experience, because greatness is the standard of the God in you. Greatness is the standard of how God made you. So affirm with me, there is no need to force my greatness.
There is no need to force my greatness.
Greatness lives in me now.
Greatness lives in me now.
Greatness lives in me always.
Greatness lives in me always.
How wonderful is that affirmation? Now, as we let that affirmation soak into our spirit, I want to remind you, as I have to remember every day of my life, that we are all pioneers in an ongoing love movement. And this is generational, because I see even from, let's say, my grandparents' day and what they believed in, how they dressed, how they spoke, the things that they spoke about in public is different from my parents' day, and even my parents' day to mine. And even now, my godkids are even more expanding on that. People are expecting more from their life. They're not just looking at what society tells them to do. And of course, we must have a civilization. We must have order as we communicate with other people in the world. And as long as we're not hurting anyone, can we be free enough to live a life of love? Can we be free enough to live as a pioneer in God's great love movement? When we look at it, people are expecting more from mental health awareness. People are talking about mental health more and more. People are not just crazy, but they're understanding that maybe that person has gone through a trauma. Maybe that person was just hit on the head and now their brain is, out of whack. They're not just crazy, but they're working through something. I always think, now, if you follow us on Facebook and Instagram, every day this month we'll be celebrating someone as Black History Month, because I don't care who says we're not celebrating Black history. I'm going to celebrate Black history not just in February, but every day. So if you follow us on social media, you'll be seeing the people that we honor every day this week. And then next month, we'll be looking at Women's History Month and all the women that have done great things in this world. But when I think about the women's liberation movement, and I really think that things started to shift like the 50s and the 60s, right? The women's liberation movement, what's one thing that they did? They burned their bra. What a liberating feeling, right? And because you ask any woman that wears a bra, what is the first thing you do when you get home and they tell you they take off their bra? Okay? I remember I love to watch The View, and there is a woman on there, Joy Behar. She's crazy. She always makes me laugh. But she was apologizing to another co-host, Sunny, because Sunny's kid had something at school or something like that. And she was saying, Joy, you didn't come. And Joy said, I would have come. I was home. I was ready. She's like, oh, I understand. You were home. You were probably relaxing. She said, I would have come back out, but I already took off my brassiere and I'm not putting it back on to go out of the house, right? It was just a freedom. It's just a liberation, right? They realized that they could wear it if they wanted to, but if they didn't want to, they had the freedom to do it. That wasn't expected in the 50s and the 40s, right? It's something that even now is wonderful today. I remember a woman that I was working with. We were waiting for something and she was looking through a magazine and she's looking at the celebrities and the pictures and she's like, Jason, look, this celebrity, I forget who the celebrity was, the celebrity doesn't have on pantyhose. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, I don't have to wear pantyhose? And I'm thinking in my head, like, she grew up dressing a certain way. You had to wear pantyhose. You had to wear this. You had to wear that. And after that, in the summertime, she realized she didn't have to do it. But I thought why do you? First of all, that's an extra expense. If you don't feel like doing it, you don't have to do it. But there was a certain liberation, that certain liberation for equality, where women stood up and said, we are just as strong as anybody in this world. And look how that happened, right? And during the month of March, we're going to be looking at these pioneers that said that I am a woman, but it doesn't mean that I am weaker than, it doesn't mean that I am less smarter than, it means that I am the same. I am God's creation. People are expecting more from themselves. People are expecting more from their relationships, from their friendships, especially relationships. People got married and they felt that they had to stay in that marriage. And that is, of course, what you want to do when you get married. You want to stay married, but if the person is not holding up their end of their bargain, or if there's this thing called irreconcilable differences, you just realize that you and this person really don't get along, you're growing in different directions, there is nothing wrong with saying that this is not the commitment that I want to make anymore. People are realizing that they don't even have to get married, right? Whatever you feel for your life, there is a certain liberation that is happening day by day. There is a certain pioneering consciousness that people are experiencing day by day in fashion, in healthcare even, right? People are discovering natural and holistic medicines that really started back in the day, but it's being reintroduced in our society. People are even expecting more from their churches. People back in the day just used to go to church every Sunday because their mother is dragging them to church and they want to impress the neighbors because they're going to church, right? But people are expecting more from their churches. They don't just want the ritual, they want the reasons. Why should I trust God? Why should I trust myself? Why should I open myself more? And these things are not new, but they're becoming more vocal. People are addressing them more, and the stigma is being removed. Now, the thing is, that these needs that we have in our life, this longing that we have in our life is truly a longing for our deeper self. It's truly a longing for our God self, and that is okay. It means that we love ourselves enough to know that we deserve more. It means that we love ourselves enough to know that we deserve to be fulfilled in our mind, in our soul, in our spirit, so that we can enjoy our life, because this is not a dress rehearsal. So when we're trying to make other people happy, when we're not doing the things that make us happy, we're just wasting the moments of our life, and they are never coming back. So friends, don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your love. Don't give up on your potential. The very longing that you feel for something more, the very longing, the very urging that you feel deep within your soul is actually your future self calling you towards that fulfillment, calling you towards your deeper God self. And it is unprecedented territory. No one has ever walked the road that you have to walk in your life, and no one else can. So as you become a successful pioneer in God's great love movement, know that no one else can walk through the doors that you have to walk through. No one else can live your life. No one else can be you. No one else can have your experiences. No one else can live and understand your goals and your visions. No one else can do it for you. So walk through the door. Be the pioneer in God's great love movement. Let's affirm that right here and right now. I am a successful pioneer in God's great love movement. So you're a pioneer now. Your future self is calling you, right? Whatever you're desiring, your married self is calling you. Your more educated self is calling you, right? Your parent, whatever you see for your future, know that it is calling you in a great and a wonderful love. And as you walk through the door of this movement, you walk through now more illumined. You walk through now knowing that you have a light that shines greatly on your future. And that is what pioneers do, isn't it? Pioneers forge the way. Pioneers clear the way. And that is why representation matters. That is why I'm so happy to do research for Women's History Month, because when you see all these women, especially I think of, I always say her name wrong, Mahala, the woman, the young girl that was shot in the face because she wanted to read. I think she's from India, right? She got shot in the face because she wanted to read. Now she's educating women all over the world. Now she's even married, and I think she has a kid, I'm not sure. But she became a pioneer in her own country. She grew up hearing that because you're a girl, because you're female, you shouldn't get an education, but she knew better. Really, the God in her knew better. The future self of her, in her, knew better. Today, remember that your future self knows better. And know that every pioneer, as you are a pioneer in your world, you look at other pioneers that do great things in this world, it is really an action of love. They are really saying, I love myself more than my current situation. I love myself in growth. I love myself to grow. I love my vision. I love my goals. Today's Bible lesson was taken from Colossians chapter 3, reading from, I forget what it was, but in verse 8, it says, now rid yourselves, and that means all of yourself, your mind, your body, your soul, and your spirit. It says, rid yourself completely from anger, rage, malice, slander, and abusive language. And that's not only for other people, but for yourself, doesn't it, right? Because our language starts with ourselves. You have stripped off the old self and put on the new spiritual self, who is being continually renewed in true knowledge, in the image of the God who created the new self. So it's not just a one shot and done. It is a continual renewal. It is a continual growth of your life. It goes on to say that this renewal makes no distinction between people. It is a Christ in all, for we are equal to the Christ. We are equal to one of the greatest spiritual leaders of all time. You have to know that that spirit lives in you. As we go through our communion today, Let us get a deeper awareness of our blood and our body, seeing the heart as the connection, right? The heart is the connection between the blood and the body, because once the heart stops, the blood stops pumping. And even if the body has some type of trauma that is not directly affected with the blood, right? You get hit over the head and, your heart stops beating. So that heart is the connection between the body and the blood. Now, February is our love month, as we've said. And the faculty is represented in the bottom of your heart, right? And this is where you can either feel a singing, a joy when things are happy and your heart is full and you just feel like your heart is light and you can love everyone, love everything in the world, or your heart can hurt deeply when there are rough times, where there are difficult times. And even through those hurtful times, when your heart feels heavy, when your heart feels hurt, it still longs to sing. There are people out there that are so hurt, but they know that there is something more. They know that there is a sunshine day, a sunshine life for them to experience. We must know that love is the answer in those moments. Love is the only faculty that we have to use in those moments. And we must not allow our negation, we must not allow our doubts, our fears, our losses, we must not allow the things that break our heart to allow us to lose pieces of our love. We must not allow these things to strip away pieces of our heart. Friends, life can get tough, but I'm here to tell you that the bottom of your heart is tougher. The bottom of your heart is stronger. Your love is stronger. Your love is never wasted. And so you have to hold space for your love. You go through relationships, they don't work out. You didn't waste your time loving someone. You built a love within you. Today, expand on that love. Expand on who you are. Expand on the love in your relationships, in your friendships, even the loss that you have. Know that it can never be replaced, but it is growing. It is expanding in great and wonderful ways. Back to Colossians chapter 3. In verse 14, it says, wrap yourself in unselfish love. And this is a hard pill for us to swallow, even for me sometimes, because it means then that nothing is really ours. Our relationships, our marriages, our children, our parents, they don't belong to us. We love them for the time that we share with them, but they do not belong to us. They belong to the greater universe. Right? Everything grows and unfolds at will. So we don't take our losses personally. We don't take our changes personally. We look at our marriages, our loved ones, and we love them in great and wonderful ways. Even our pets, right? They're all these things that we can love. And that provide comfort to our very core. But if these things are removed from our life, and we are left to question the things that where we stand in this world, we're left to question our sanity, we're left to question our future, can we put love as the answer to all of those questions? Friends, today, claim from the bottom of your heart that you are love, 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 love. Whatever pain you're going through, whatever suffering you're going through, whatever negation you're going through, friends, today, I want you to grab your heart from the very bottom and lift it up. Grab your heart from the very depths of your soul, the very depths of your thinking, the very depths of your negation, and lift yourselves up. You have the power to do it through your love. So affirm with me, I claim. One more time, I claim from the bottom of my heart that I am love, love, love. Hug yourself. I claim from the bottom of my heart that I am love, 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 love. Yes, keep hugging yourself. Keep claiming this love right here and right now. And as you speak this word, I know that you are living a peaceful life through love. Going back, one last quote from Colossians chapter 3 and verse 15, it says, let peace and inner calm be the controlling factor in your hearts, deciding and settling questions that arise. How wonderful is that? Again, when you see everything in your world as peaceful, that is how you know that you've introduced love into your world. That everything, the peace, the calm is the controlling factor in your world. And it decides and settles any questions that might arise, whether they be personal or existential. We let science solve the mysteries of the universe. Even if you're an astrophysicist and you look at the stars and you work in a think tank, leave that at work. You still have to reveal the mystery of yourself. You still have to explore the mystery of you. How can you expand in this moment? How can you expand in this time, in this life, with your circumstances? How can you expand in this moment with your body? Listen, curiosity and deep thinking is commendable, and it is definitely needed. I love reading scientific journals and what they discover and how their minds work, right? Gaining data and giving it to us in small doses. But we must use the same curiosity to unfold a loving soul. We must use the same curiosity to unfold a loving spirit, a loving energy in our world. Friends, today, let the love in yourself always expand in great and wonderful ways. And as you allow this to happen to you, as you allow this to happen through you, you know that whatever life brings, love is always the answer. Would you affirm this last affirmation with me? My love for myself is always expanding. Hug yourself one more time and say, my love for myself is always expanding. So friends, let your love expand. Let your love do good and wonderful things in this world. And as you do, whatever arises, you can say, I am love. This is love. We are love. Up, down, sideways, all around is the energy of love, because love is always my answer. I love you, love you, love you, love you. Be blessed. Thank you.